Welcome to the Model Car Hobby Headquarters Unpodcast with your host, Luca C. Now here he is, Luca C.
Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. How are you doing today? We've got another guest for you. Real interesting one. A modeler that I have known for a long time and appreciated his models for years. We have Jim Drew with us. And you've seen his models back in Scale Auto, on the cover of Scale Auto. He's won some awards at some big shows, and he's got his GTP Racing Scale Models group. I've talked about that group in a past video. Excellent group, great modelers on there. You get to see Jim's work, and he's got his own group that to check out his own work. He does little videos on. It's called the Drewid Fine Scale Modeler. He's quite the online presence with his models, and I just wanted to have him on and let's talk about modeling. How you doing, Jim? It's good to have you on.
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you very much.
YouTube, never been on YouTube, so hey, this is cool. No, but hey, thanks for the invite.
Thanks for accepting. You know, I just like I've said, I've loved what you've done over the years. We've met before on the internet many years ago because actually it was a particular car you built that Summit Racing Dan Fletcher Superstock Camaro.
Yeah.
On Camaro. I remember seeing that, and it was a car I wanted to do. And you posted pictures of it, and it was just amazing. And I started asking you, hey, I want to build that car. How'd you get those decals?
Well, I had to search and make. I had to make a lot of my own decals.
Yeah.
And I had a really good friend who was very helpful in reference and all that. And had to buy an awful lot of decals for the sponsors, the sub-sponsors on the sides. And I was not a drag racing superstock guy, and I learned a lot building that. But I just thought it was a cool car.
No, I know that, and that was the interesting thing is when I got to talking to you about it was the fact that was totally out of your wheelhouse. And
absolutely,
what you're known for and what you build is mostly road race, really.
Absolutely,
vintage history,
road racing
and modern ones. And here, this total different type of race car, not your thing. And you just I don't know, did you build it on a bed or something?
No, it was a squirrel.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. It was like, oh, that's pretty, and it's got a flip-flop paint job on it, and I think I can get that color, and that'll be cool. And it just one thing led to another, and I would probably blew off half of my workday researching on the internet and finding stuff, but it was a fun project.
Oh, I know, and I kept pictures of that thing. And and of course you met Dan Fletcher. I've met Dan Fletcher, both saying, hey, I'm building a model of your car. Such a super nice guy. Take pictures you want, crawl all over the car. And I still have collected up pictures of that car because one day I want to still build it. And just to use your car as a reference, your model as a reference. It's just so accurate to the real car.
Well, that's important to me, and you know that. I mean, that's I like doing replicas. I like researching. Researching is one of my probably half of what I really enjoy doing the most on cars is the research. I mean, when you get into looking at the car, all of a sudden you go down a lot of rabbit holes online, and you find all these nuances and whatnot with the car, and you start talking to you get introduced to people, and you find all kinds of things you never knew about the history of the car or the history of the driver or the owner. And pretty soon it just evolves, and you're like, oh, this is wonderful. And that's kind of one of my favorite things to do is actually do the research on the car.
Yeah, that's always a fun part of it. And just the challenge of getting it perfect and accurate.
Yeah, many pictures, and you'd be surprised. You look at a picture over and over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden, you look at it again while you're working, and you go, I never saw that. It's like, oh, I gotta make that too. And it's like your brain just shuts certain things out, and so if you don't keep looking at your reference material, you miss stuff, and that ties along with walking away from a project, and you get to a certain point where you get too deep into it and you're like, I'm missing stuff. So you walk away for a little while and you come back and go, oh, there it is. Fresh eyes. I think that's what it's called, fresh eyes. You put some fresh eyes on it because you haven't looked at it in a while and go, oh, sure glad I walked away because I missed this.
The one model that was just really, that caught my attention, that caught a lot of people's attention, was that Grand Sport that you built. But what was neat about it is you did this thing in an odd scale. It was 12 scale, right?
12 scale, yeah.
12 scale. When there was a 24 scale model of the car available, you wanted to go ahead and do a 12 scale.
It was actually prior to that. It was prior to the accurate miniatures. Yep. When I started working on it, it was prior to that. But I backdated the Monogram 67 to the 64 and a half.
Wow.
Which they raced in Nassau. And that was another rabbit hole I just started walking down, and then bugged Dave Friedman, the famous photographer for Ford Motor Company. I got a hold of him and got a few pictures off of him, and then he's telling me he was going to publish a book on it. So when the book came out, I got the book, pretty much destroyed the book and had to buy a second one just to have some decent pictures to show it whenever I showed it off. But there's a lot of research, and I wanted to make sure that I got it right.
The thing that I was always bummed out about is you had it here in Phoenix for the IPMS show, and I found out too later, for some reason, I don't know, it was a long time ago, that was the one time I couldn't go to the IPMS show, and all my friends told me about it. I'm like, oh, first, I had already been talking to you because this was after the Dan Fletcher Camaro, so I wanted to meet you, and then there was I wanted to see that model because I had seen some pictures of it, and everybody had told me you should see that thing in person. But the impressive thing about it is the fact that you had to make that thing. It wasn't a kit.
Oh yeah, this is pre a lot of stuff that a lot of people take for granted today that you can do. I mean, this was the closest I've ever gotten to really fabricating everything. I mean, the frame is brass and copper. A lot of evergreen plastic went into making some of the suspension pieces or upgrading them. Yeah, I can actually remember flying on a business trip to Cali, and I had to work on the rear diff. I got a chance to work on the rear diff while I was on the plane.
Oh wow!
And I had an X-Acto knife on an airplane.
Whoa! Wow! It doesn't.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, no kidding. Holy cow! Yeah, and also going with a large scale model like that, you have to pretty much make everything, because where are you going to find, at least like if you were building it in 25th scale or 24 scale, there's other kits that would have wheels like that or something close, or a close carburetor setup or all that, but you didn't have anything like that. Well, I mean, even the tires, what the heck do you use for tires?
What I did was I made the sidewalls out of ABS plastic. I turned those, and then what I did was got some PVC pipe and grafted the castings to the PVC pipe and turned them down. And then I was in the engineering field at the time, and I've since retired, but I printed out the the tire pattern, the tread pattern in CAD, and then taped the vellum of the tread pattern on top of the PVC pipe and just hand cut every single piece onto each PVC pipe. So it was all handcrafted there. But the sidewalls are cast from Masters.
And you took that model to Salt Lake.
I did. And it took best detail, best interior, People's Choice. Took most of the awards.
And to win a People's Choice, especially at a show like that, that's pretty prestigious.
Yep. I really take that to heart. It was a good show.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a neat model, and it got on the cover, Scale Auto.
Yeah, one of the contest annuals.
Yep, that's right. It was the contest, and were those pictures from when it was at Salt Lake?
I forget when they took those pictures. I don't think it was at Salt Lake when they took those pictures. I think it was prior to that at a different show.
No, okay.
Might have been the photo shoot at Toledo. NNL.
But you've done a couple other models since then.
Oh yeah, I've done quite just one or two.
You were there. I know. Boy, you do. You always take some challenging subjects too.
I'm one of these. I'm a squirrel hunter, I think.
Yeah.
And I think if something strikes my enthusiasm, I'm all over it. But it's usually in a road racing venue.
Yeah.
So if it's something I find enthusiastic and it looks like it's going to be fun to do, then I'm all over it. I mean, the absolutely worst thing that I could do would be to do a commission piece for somebody. I mean, because that's like somebody chose a subject and, you know, it would be like the Baton Death March.
Yeah.
For me. But if I'm really enthusiastic, I go down a full rabbit hole and dig and dig and dig, and I'll find nuances and it's amazing what you can find. And when I first started this, there was, you know, you had to dig in a magazine or, you know, go to the library and pull out, you know, bound periodicals to find one little picture of something. And
especially your subject matter isn't really the most popular, well-known form of motorsport. So there's not as much as if you were just doing a NASCAR or an NHL.
No. And being being a huge Chaparral fan, I hooked up with the Chaparral people down in Midland, Texas. And there was the woman who took care of all Jim's stuff, Shirley Harris, just a phenomenal girl. I managed to get her to be able to get permission to take some pictures of the transmission in the Chaparral.
Holy cow.
For me. Yeah, just and send me, as long as I promised not to publish them or show them out anywhere. So I was able to convert a Monogram slot car body into a full detailed Chaparral 2. That turned into a pretty good article for Scale Auto back in the day too.
Yeah, I think I remember. I think I have that one.
You probably do.
What body did you start with? Did you say
it was the Monogram slot car body? It was probably the most accurate Chaparral 2 body out there at the time. At any time, actually, still. I don't think there's one any better.
Yeah, that one has passed through my hands. I regretted getting rid of it because I
used to have one in a blister pack.
Oh yeah, I always loved the Chaparrals.
I drew so many side views of Chaparrals as an elementary student in school that, you know, I'm surprised I passed.
And Jim was just so cool too, you know. That Texan he just had a lot of cool about him. That was a hot rodder. I mean, Jim Hall is a hot rodder. That's where him and Grumpy Jenkins were always like my heroes. And they both had the white Chevrolets, but it was just that engineering about him. And Jim Hall was so young when he was cranking out those Chaparrals.
I thought he was the coolest. I thought his cars were cool, and I, you know, managed to convince my dad to get me a T-shirt from him. And
oh, no kidding, that's cool.
I had one of the original white ones with the logo. I wore that out.
Yeah, those you can't come by. It was way back when.
Yep.
But what other cars have you been like really involved with?
A lot of Can-Am, a lot of McLaren stuff. But as of late, it's been a lot of the GT stuff. You know, the Mercedes and.
Yeah, you had a little bit of a passion for that Mercedes.
Oh God, yes. It's like, well, I bought one just on a whim, and I thought I could find some decals that, you know, because the original decals are horrible. I mean, it's just a real basic Mercedes, whatever they did when they introduced it. And then I found a gentleman in Germany, Slot Fabrik, who was doing some decals for the German slot car industry, and they already had a slot car based off of that thing, a body. So I bought some of those decals, and then when I got the kit, and when Tamiya engineered this kit, I could not believe just how well this thing went together And it was the proverbial cut the parts apart, put it in a box, shake it up, take it out, and you got your car, and then you can paint it. But one thing led to another. It was like, oh, there's another livery. That's pretty cool. I'll make that. I mean, I even have a Hello Kitty livery that I found.
Oh,
I mean, it got out of hand. I said, well, I'm gonna stop at 4, and pretty soon they revised the front end on those things, and I can do that. I can change that, and I did a 5th one with a new front end with a great big nose.
Oh, so you replicated the front end then?
Yeah, so I found somebody who was doing aftermarket resin front and rear end, and Slap Fabric was did the decals that I wanted.
Oh,
He said, could you produce these? Because it was from the that race in Australia, the Mount.
A Mount Panorama.
Yeah, Mount Panorama race, and it was on the pole. The car I did was on the pole for that season. I said, hey, I know this is kind of obscure, but could you do that? He goes, well, if you're going to make the car, I'll produce it. I'll sell these. So that's where that came out.
Oh, that's cool.
But then that Mustang GT4 came out, and then let's move on to the next GT car, and that was fun. And then IndyCals. Michael did a few decals for the sets for that, and we talked a whole lot about certain thoughts and certain ones that might work for him, and that was a fun kit. That was a really good kit.
That's another one that just fell together. I built that one.
Oh yeah, so I stopped at that. I stopped at 2 of those. I did the Volt, the fluorescent yellow Volt, and the red and black. Can't remember the sponsor's name now. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, I remember seeing the Volt one, and that your whole underside where you did the cigarette. I think you did. Didn't you use the cigarette lining paper from the boxes to make all the heat shielding, or that was pretty much already in the car? You did it all with around the.
No, those are actually Model Factory Hero.
Was that
heat shielding? Model Factory Hero makes a heat shield that I use. A nice aluminum thing.
Yeah, because you got that all in there, and you did all the kind of the bluing on the exhaust, and
that's all clad colors, different shades of their candy colors.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just mist them on, just keep layering it and layering it and layering it, and pretty soon you get what you want. The problem is it just disappears behind that grid.
Yeah, no,
it's almost wasn't worth it.
Yeah, that's why you got to take the pictures while you're building it.
And I did 4 sets at once.
All those Tamiya kits are just lovely kits. I always go on about those. But you're right.
Yep. In fact,
I
watch a lot of these. I watch a lot of other videos on weathering and whatnot because I like to put patina on things. And you get caught up in these the military guys.
Yeah.
And now I get sucked into look at this Tamiya P38. And I'm like, that is pretty awesome. So I had to buy one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm a closet airplane guy. I love airplanes. And back when Wingnut Wings was in business, I love World War I planes. I said, well, I'll buy I'll buy an Albatross and see what the buzz is all about. Ermagerd.
Yeah.
It's what they did with their kits. I've never seen anything before or since that can compare with the Wingnut Wing stuff.
Those are spectacular.
But eventually, I've never built one, but I got like 5 of them now.
No, really? Oh, you haven't built one yet? I know. You keep next car. Yeah, I'll get to that. I know there's airplanes and there's tanks and and of course another thing that we both love, and it's in the background there, Star Wars stuff. I got all the car stuff. I think if I started going on to planes and Star Wars models, I got too many cars I got to build.
Exactly. And I've also, I'm at the point in my life where you start looking at how much time you got left to build stuff. So I don't want to be bothered with a lot of hard kits that you got to correct a lot of stuff now.
Yeah.
And so I tend to lean more into stuff that are fun and are well engineered. But I don't get me wrong, I still want to take that fun, well engineered kit and put my own spin on it. I make some parts, because I love making my own parts for things, but I don't want to correct a lot of crap, on the kit. And I went through a series recently of 4 Revell 68 Corvettes road race cars. Just did them all at once, pretty much. And I said, that's it, I'm done. I mean, these are old school kits. And I said, these are hard, and there's so much there that you got to correct. I mean, back in the day, I wouldn't have had any problem with it, but now,
yeah,
no, but they were fun to do. But I think I'm done with the old school stuff, and I'm just going to move forward on modern. Like these, I've just recently done converted an Italeri Alfa Romeo 8C 2300 Roadster into a car that I saw a photograph of this car probably 2 years ago online, and I saved the picture of it, and I was like, that's pretty Alfa Romeo. And it's one of those pictures you go, oh, I'll just keep that. And then Italeri comes out with their Monza kit, and I'm like, okay, maybe they'll come out with the Roadster. And they did. So I was like, okay, I'll start researching on that. But come to find out, it never raced like that. It never looked like that in its racing history. The owner converted it to how it looked. That it, while in the middle of this, that's how what I discovered. It's still a cool car. Don't get me wrong. I still like the car, and I had a blast putting it all together. But back to the rabbit hole. Go down the rabbit hole. I find out about the actual chassis and its real racing history. It was owned by this Swedish person, and the coolest picture I saw a video on YouTube of him racing this car in the Finnish Grand Prix in 1936 as a Monza version, but it was also a monoposto, which one seat in the middle and a completely different thing. So I got another kit, and I'm in the middle of doing the second one.
Oh, that's cool. And
just because I went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. You see, when you're doing all your research that you like to do, all of a sudden you get inspired by something else you find in there.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden you got to build another one.
Yep. And I think they'll look phenomenal together.
Yeah. And you're so right about how you get with not wanting to deal with some of the correcting of stuff and some of these kits that are coming out. Like, that's why I'm such a fan of Tamiya. Tamiya kits are they're just too enjoyable to put together.
Yep.
And
here's the thing about the Italeri kit. Anytime I post progress pictures on the last one, they would go, well, good on you for doing, getting through an Italeri kit. And wait, this is a new kit, fresh engineering. This is not your mother's Italeri. This is a good kit. I mean, their casting is still questionable due to the little bit of flash and stuff like that. But engineering wise, it goes together like a dream. So anybody wants to buy that Alfa Romeo, you should owe it to yourself if you like the car, do it. It's not the old school Italeri where everybody is, oh, I can't build this.
Yeah, I know. Italeri just has kind of that. They have a
bad rep.
Yeah, they do. And there's like the Mark II Escort. I'd like to get a hold of one of these days, and I have a hard time saying their name too, because it's their kit. I get a little cautious of getting it, but I've heard good stuff about that kit. And that's a more recent engineered the production that they did. But and then have you tried any of those bell kits from Belgium?
Not yet. I've not tried one. I hear, on my GTP page, there's there's some side grumblings on a regular basis about what you're getting for the price, what you're getting, and they do have issues, building issues. But I've not tried one. I would like to try a Nunu.
Yeah.
The BMW M8 would be good. The new one.
Yeah.
I think I have one on order.
Yeah. Yeah. I got one in my closet in here.
The M8, the new one.
I can't remember. I can't see it. I know I got a new BMW fairly recently. I don't know how Andy came across it. Was in his store, and I'll take it. But I'm not sure which one it is. I can't remember. Yeah. I just, I'll see, especially when any of those kits, it's kind of hard for us to get here. When I see an opportunity to grab one, I just grab it.
Yeah, same here. That's the way you got to do it.
Yeah, I don't.
It's the same with decent decal sheets. If you see something that you might build, maybe not,
you got to
buy it, because probably it's going to sell out.
Yeah, sell out, and you'll never see them again. It's when they're gone, we're gone type of scenario.
Yep.
I have never built one of the new kits, but that one that I got, it looks really nice. So.
Yep.
But I picked up.
Me either, but I'm looking forward to trying it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I picked up a few years back and started it. I got to get back on it. I picked up a Bell kit, the Mark I Escort, which is a car that I've always been fascinated with. And they came out with that, and I got to get one. And it was at, I think, the 18 IPMS show that was here. And there was somebody that had it on the table, and how much? 50? Not an issue. That was a great deal.
There you go.
$50 for that thing. And so far, what I've done with it seems to be a very nice kit.
One of my admins on the GTP page is big Bell kits. He builds a lot of them, so he loves them.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of rally cars, and I love.
Yeah, that's what he's a rally guy. That's why he builds them.
Yeah, so and that was something that brought me to that. It was when I was building that car, and I was also working on the Tamiya Volvo station wagon. I was looking for some Facebook groups that kind of were more leaning towards those type of cars, and that's where I found yours. But that was when you were just kind of doing that switch, because originally you did the GTP group. It was just
as the Mercedes. It was just on the Mercedes because it was so popular at the time.
Yeah, but when I came onto it, I noticed it was dedicated just that kit, but there was other things.
Right.
It was at the time when you're just getting ready to do the shift, and that's where I'm always lurking on that page. I'm just never building anything like that to put anything on there. I think I've put some stuff on there, like when I was doing the Mustang, and then when I was working on that Escort. But boy, you got some great.
Yeah, I watched your build on that Mustang to see what kind of pitfalls were going to come in. So
didn't really have any.
No, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm getting it.
Yeah, that was for me to be able to put it together as fast as I put it together. And a little thing about that. When I was building that, I was coming down with COVID. And
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I wasn't 100%. That was that weekend. I got it done. Went over to Andy's to do his video. Sat right next to him. 2 days later, I went down hard. And
yeah, we were worried about you, man.
Yeah, that was a bad couple of months. But
I could not imagine. I'm glad I dodged that bullet.
Oh yeah, it's not a fun thing to have, but I'll tell you, it with that happening, the experience of building that model is still a good memory for me, and that was such
a really good kit.
It is. I mean, I have the thing sitting back there proudly. It turned out beautiful. I want to sit down and really build one, so I have 3 or 4 or something.
Well, IndyCals will hook you up, so you're good.
Oh yeah. I want to. I don't know what car I want to do yet. I've been up in the air. I like that retro, the Motorcraft.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's one I thought about getting. doing that. I always like that Motorcraft car. And then I have the Revell kit. I was thinking of doing both of them. The old Mustang, the old Motorcraft Mustang. I've never built one of those old Revell ones. Have you?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I don't know how they would go. I've seen some turn out pretty nice.
And at this point, I'm done with that.
Yeah, you kind of over the Revell thing. Yeah.
You betcha. I mean, I got so many things. Even 80s versions of the Tamiya stuff is way better.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm really hoping that Tamiya, I got a feeling they're going to start popping out some of the old stuff. It would be really neat to see that.
That would.
There's so many neat. I remember always looking at them. I had a different attitude back in the 80s and 90s, and I was so much of a American muscle car gearhead and getting my monograms and Revells and AMTs and stuff. And I'd look at those Tamiya kits and go, I'd love to have those. Remember the price difference too was huge.
Right.
And
my big introduction to Tamiya cars, Squadron shop had a brick and mortar store up in Detroit.
Oh, really?
Back when I was in high school, and it was like Mecca. You go up there, and they probably had a couple of hundred built models and showcases. And you would go in there, and there was one showcase that had all these Tamiya Formula One cars from the day back in the late 70s, early 80s in there, and was like, what is this? And so it was pointed in the right direction. And the strange thing is I was there to buy 54 millimeter figures.
Oh, really?
Paint. Because they had like a 10-foot wall just of 54 millimeter figures hanging off the wall. It was everything you could imagine in a hobby shop and more. And just walking around as a brick and mortar store, it was like, oh, you just wanted, and when you're a high school kid and you're in the hobby, it was jaw dropping. It really was. So, yeah. But that was my real introduction to Tamiya cars, and I was smitten. I was absolutely smitten.
Yeah, when I finally busted down and got my first one, I think in the early 90s, and it was shocking. Okay, I get it now. And the price difference now, well, there isn't that big of one. They seem to have not raised up as much as the other ones. So, you pay $40 for a Revell,
yep.
$40 for a Tamiya kit.
Yep.
I think that's what I don't know. I don't look at prices anymore. I don't worry about it. If I like it, I get it. But I don't know. I'm crazy like that.
Well, now that I've retired, I started looking at prices.
Yeah. Yes, it probably should start looking at prices, but man, I can't pass up on a good Tamiya. If they come out with something new or like I told you the other night, all of a sudden I walk into Andy's and he got a Fujimi Datsun 280Z kit that I gotta have. Yeah. It's just keeps on they keep on making more cool things.
Like I said, I got that P38 that they just came out with.
Yeah.
Yep, I bought that, and I've already got some Quinta cockpit stuff on order, and I got a decal set that showed up, and eventually I'll do a military thing. But
yeah,
the cars keep popping up, and I got to build that, but I'll get to it.
Oh, I know. I want to build a Sherman tank because I always did, but I walked in.
Happen.
I'm going to build a Sherman tank, and there's another new model kit on the shelf. New car kit, on the shelf. Yep. Yeah, you got to stick with what your real passion is.
Now that I'm retired, it's become I kind of treat it like a job now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still stuck in I get up at 6:30 every morning, and I come down to the lair, and I work for 4 or 5 hours, and then when my wife gets up, and then that's the other part of my life, I go upstairs and take care of that business. So
Yeah.
But I get a solid 4 to 5 every morning.
That's awesome.
Which my skill level is really catapulted because of it, because you just get that repetition of doing the things, and you don't forget how to do stuff, and you learn more things, and everything compounds itself on top of each other. And I get to listen to all the scale model podcasts while I'm down here. It's kind of cool. Even though they're military guys, you still listen to it.
The model geeks are great. I love listening to them while I'm at the bench.
Oh yeah.
Those poor knuckleheads going at it, talking about, I love listening to those guys. They're awesome.
Yeah, I raised a little stink on the Tamiya group, Tamiya magazine recently, based on something they said about the Quinta cockpit details were cheating, and they were just doing it tongue in cheek against each other.
Yeah.
So I dropped in on Tamiya Mount. I'm like, so what's the story on this cheating with the Quinta stuff? Man, it turned into a minor firestorm. I'm like, people, it's just tongue in cheek.
That's a problem. You try to milk them, people, they don't see you.
No, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. In fact, Darren said something, complimented me on this podcast this morning about doing that. He said,
"Yeah,
good on you, Jim."
Yeah, that was. I heard that one, and it's the whole social media thing. The positive thing about social media, there's been so much negative about it, but I think it's done such amazing things for our hobby, and like your Drewid fine scale modeling thing, where you're putting little videos up of just
right
how you do things, and gives you.
When I think of something, when I think of something that might go over, I'll stop what I'm doing and just pop up a quick little, cross my fingers and see if it tapes okay, and publish it. And maybe somebody likes it, and if they do, they do. Cool.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. It's just a way of expressing. This is an art form, and it's a way of expressing our art. It's before, all we ever had was to kind of go and show off whatever we did, is model shows, travel to model shows, and hope maybe the magazines might see you, take a picture of your model, and maybe you'll get into a magazine one day. But now everybody just gets to share so much.
There's
so many ideas that get.
I look at what I do as a lot of problem solving, and I think I'm pretty good problem solving. And if I come up with something that I don't think anybody else has figured out, I'll publish it. I'll show what I've done, and that's why I like converting. I'm doing the kit bashing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problem solving in there, and since my background is in engineering, it kind of comes naturally, and I'm not an engineer. I came up the hard way, just being creative. I got in the business because I'm creative, and then it just evolved into it, and I can figure out stuff fairly easily, and then I'm able to I like being able to pass that on to other people. My favorite thing used to be, back when I go to the shows, it was the proverbial, "How'd you do that?" Those people who go, "Well, I can't tell you that." No. I love telling how I did stuff, and I'll walk them through the whole process and say, "Let me know how you did."
Yeah, definitely. Those people are missing the point. That's always been the fun thing. The first model show I ever went to, and I met these guys that were, I saw their stuff in the scale auto back then, and it was so cool to meet them. And I would go, "How'd you do that?" And they would go, "Well, let me tell you." They enjoyed talking about it, and that was, it could have gone the other way if they were like, "Well, I don't really want to tell you." I might have left the hobby because of that. And
now we have a global platform to do it.
I know, that's which
is cool. And I look at this global platform as, now I get to go to a model car show every day.
Yeah, exactly.
and look at the stuff that's out there that I would have never seen. No, I mean, you see all those people in Japan with their beautiful cars. Germany, some of the best looking models in Germany. I mean, I've got so many friends in Germany now that, you know, I consider, you know, friends on in the net that, you know, I love to see their work online, and I love to follow their progress and their builds and the way they approach their cars. And it's just, you learn a lot from it now. I think that you get exponential learning from looking at all these other people, how they do stuff. And I think it's phenomenal. I mean, I hate the bad side of social media, but the good side is being able to find stuff and look at stuff, and, you know, and then contact that person and say, can you tell me how exactly you made those rivets or whatever, you know, whatever minutia you did. And they're more than likely willing to share what they did with you.
Yeah, that is the total positive thing about this. That's how, you know, that's how I met you. It was the earlier days of the social media thing. You know, you had that model that I was going, I want to build one of those. That's so interesting. I contacted you and you said, hey, I'll send you you sent me pictures immediately, all this. And this is how I did that. You sent me build pictures of it.
Yeah, and that was the message board days, right?
Yeah, the back of the message. I think it was either Google Groups or
Spotlight or something,
or probably one of the message boards. But
yep,
that was the thing. I you know, I started getting into the message boards around 2000, and to me, it changed the hobby for me. Just getting to speak with all these great modelers and see all these great models, like you say, you know, you just make new friends, and then you can sit there and you see a model, you know, it's just the inspiration. Other builders inspire you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is the key. And
that's my favorite part. Just going on, and like I said earlier, it was about the military guys, and I learned an awful lot about weathering through those YouTube videos that they put out. You know, Uncle Night Shift. It's kind of a strange way to do tanks and whatnot. But I learned something. I learned to, you know, learn how to use oils and whatnot for washes. Just some pretty cool things.
I'll watch any type of modeling on there just to, you know, we can all learn from one another so much. There's things that the airplanes do. You know, Darren's showed me things that I could bring that into cars. Even Darren did a video of a car related video that he brought his airplane stuff into to show how to make better detailing on the front of a NASCAR race.
Yeah, the best way to learn how to weather a automobile is to do a military vehicle.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and watch those. Oh yes, I cannot disagree with that. That's your bread and butter for putting a patina on a car.
Oh, I know, and that, you know, I remember when that was a big no-no in the car hobby. People were not impressed by, you know, everything had to be shiny. There was no weathering.
No, I hated that.
I was doing weathering stuff, you know, and in my heyday of being heavy into NASCAR, I was liking to make the car look like after the race and just sandblast in the front of it, putting the tire crap all over it, smears, hits, bangs. You know, I think that's a much more interesting looking model.
Well, like that Grand Sport I did back in the early 2000s. I got it. You know, how come this paint job is not so shiny? It's a race car from the 60s.
Yeah.
They didn't pop. Mm-hmm. They were shiny, but they weren't shiny.
No, not like. Yeah, that was something that I always in the NASCAR building thing is you look at those cars, they look great on TV, but whenever you get up close to them, oh, they were tools. They weren't really.
Yeah.
They weren't making show cars. There was a purpose.
Yeah, I think you said last night something about being a hammer.
Yeah, there was just a hammer to these guys.
That's like, right.
You know, when we were talking about Jim Holland and Chaparral Camaros. Yeah, that was just a hammer. It was just to get the job done. We're the ones who were passionate about those all those cars, but
not them.
I just love making them all messed up looking in real life.
Yeah, that Alpha that I just finished, I really enjoyed putting just a subtle patina all over it, so that, you know, it looked like it had some age on it, but not too bad.
Yeah,
you got to watch yourself so you don't cross a line.
Yeah,
so it gets too dirty.
Yeah,
that was fun to do.
I don't go too far. Yeah, that thing just has the right one. Is that just a little bit more promoting of your two Facebook groups, or anything else you want to talk about?
I started this Facebook group. It was based on the Mercedes GT3 car that came out a few years ago. Because it was so popular, I decided that it would be a good idea to just put a Facebook group together. Anybody built that car, because it was blowing up. Tamiya was just having a good time with it. But then everything sort of died down. But then there was the popular, people liked just to post their other GT cars. So I said, well, I talked to my admins. I said, what do you think about changing the title list to something to do with GT cars? So I said, yeah, that sounds great. So I evolved it into the GTP prototype car racing cars group, and then that took off, and we just recently broke 6,500 subscribers with over 100 countries worldwide that really enjoy GT racing. I should have known. That's really popular worldwide.
Yeah,
more worldwide than we enjoy it. So, and then I have my other page. Is my own personal model building page. It's the Drewid Fine Scale Models page. It's DREWID Fine Scale Models, and that's there was a lot of people on Facebook that are in my personal, didn't really care much for my model building, but I also had a bunch of friends who really wanted to see what I was personally doing models. So I just spun that off into a private group that they can comment on what I post, but that's where I put a lot of my how-to videos, and that's where I share from to other groups. I'll post stuff and then I'll share from that to other groups, but it's been growing pretty steadily, inch by inch, but it's just my way of sharing with the Facebook community, model building community.
Yeah, you have a lot to offer, a lot of great little tips, and that's just so cool that you want to share it in that way, and creating just a group just for that. And thank you.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it is. It's a whole new way of creative release for us. So it's fun.
But there's no way I'm doing a YouTube channel.
No, you're not going to do YouTube. Yeah, that
takes away from my build time. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it can do that. But if you ever want to, there's always room there too. But what you're doing with that group, that's something really cool. And now that more people maybe will start knowing about it and check it out, because I'll tell you, the things you do with model,
the more the merrier.
It's just enjoyable, whether you want to do that type of car or not, or model or not, whatever it might be. There's still so many things to learn.
Well, that's the deal with my personal page.
Yeah.
I am all over the map personally. I do real space. I do science fiction. I will do airplane eventually, but as you can see behind me, I got Hal back there, and Star Wars stuff going on. I'm pretty much all over the map when it comes to what interests me, as long as it's scale model stuff. I've always been very enthusiastic about scale models.
Yeah, well, that's a passion we all share. I want to thank you very much for coming on. This has been an enjoyable conversation.
Well, I absolutely appreciate the invite.
You have so much to offer to our hobby, the hobby community, and we definitely thank you for it. Just want to get more people to know about you and get onto those groups, because
I highly appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for doing it. And I asked this thing, if you're familiar with watching my Unpodcast, I asked the guest to do the sign off. Do you know the sign off?
Nope.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we'll let you slide.
All right. I don't know the sign off, so sorry.
Well, everybody, you know what it is. It is go out there and keep gluing those fingers together and keep cutting.
Oh, yeah.
You want to give it a shot?
All right.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Go out there. Glue those fingers together. Enjoy the hobby.
There you go. Well, thanks a lot. And everybody out there, go build model cars. Well, why? Because they're fun.
And don't cut yourself.
Please. There, he's old. I mean, I'm gonna have to edit this. I was okay. You're
that's fine.
Couple of great Facebook groups. We have the GT. Whoa. It's a. I should write stuff down. GTP Road Racing Facebook group. Did I say that right?
Nope.
If I had that thing up, like
GTP Racing Scale Models.
GTP Scale Model.
Racing Scale Models.
I'm gonna pull it. Jeez.
Man, you got to have some bourbon, dude.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna have to run back to the fridge.
Take two.
We'll try that again. So I'm gonna try this again without blowing it completely to hell like that.
And take two.
Well, hello, my fellow caramellers. How are you doing today?